Howdy. All right, so back for another live stream with the TeleDynes YouTube channel. So today we're going to just getting ready for a gig later. I'm going to fire up this amplifier in the back here, make sure it still works. And mainly it's to make sure that the pedal still works. I got another amp downstairs. I got to check that one too later. But anyway, and then we're going to go over a couple, a couple of chord things. So one of the things about, chord inversions or chord movements and motion and that sort of stuff. One way you can sort of create motion it's there, but it's not really there, because what you're basically just doing is playing inversions, and everyone's kind of used to that. You can play an A, you can play a C here, like this, like this, like this. It's all the same chord. It's just played in a different way, right? You could even do something like this if you wanted. Whatever. There are different inversions. It's flipping the notes around and that sort of stuff. So if you're playing a song that's got these, a chord every measure or something like that, or every 2 beats, and you want to give it some more motion instead of just playing the same inversion, like something like this. There's a song I do called Angel Eyes, and it's an old standard, it's an old Sinatra tune, but we kind of turned it into this kind of like Harlem Nocturne type thing. So it's like with the tremolo going and everything. So what I'll do is I'll play the C minor 7, which is the first chord, and then an A flat 7, which is the next chord, right? And then it walks down. Or I like putting that sharp 5 in there. It gives a little more tension. So instead of just doing or, instead of just playing the same chord over and over again. And the same thing if you're playing any other sort of tune. When you're playing a C chord, you could just keep creating motion. If you want to change the, it's almost like its own riff, its own lick within the song. But you're just playing the same chord, but you're creating a different sound as you go along. So instead of just going, I'll go. And it sounds like there's 4 chords there, but it's not. It's just inversion difference. And then it changes, it goes. So I can. Back to that. And then it does this crazy bridge thing. But the idea is just to create different sort of, just play the chord in a different inversion, even if you're omitting a chord, or not a chord, a note, and you don't play omit the 5th or something like that, and it changes the inversion, changes the voicing up a little bit, and it makes it sound a little more interesting, or makes it sound like there's movement, if that's what you're kind of going for. Sometimes you just want to, one chord and just punch it. You know, you just want to hit the audience over the head with that. But sometimes you want to create something a little bit, something a little more. Noise going on outside. Anyway, yeah, the bridge is, I don't really change anything there on the bridge until we get to the very end, the turnaround, which it goes from C sharp minor 7, F sharp 7, and then it goes up half step to D minor 7 to a G7. So instead of just going, I'll change it up and play like this instead. Put it here, so I'm not playing the same inversion. Play it like this. So the original would be. It just changes it up a little bit. You can play. There's just excuse me. Sound is distracting me. I went over this in the video. The chord, I think it was called chord shapes, where you can play a D minor 7 like this. You can play it like this. You want the fifth or the root in the bottom, or you can play it like this. Right. You can also play it standard this way as well, or way up here if you want to. There's so many different ways to play chords on the guitar, which is what makes the guitar so interesting. And you can, if you're the only guitar player and you want to create movement and sound that something's actually going on, as opposed to just playing the same old thing like that, you can switch it up a little bit, right? You can. And if you have a chord progression like that, for a lot of the rockabilly stuff, again, you're going to run into 1-4-5, or maybe you might hit a 2 or something like that. So for that sort of stuff, again, it's you can play an E down here. And then the great thing about if you're an E, you can go up here and play the E chord up here and keep that low E droning like that. And then if you want to build it up a little bit more, you can start forming a chord. Whatever, you know, as you start to, you're going up in pitch, but you're also changing the inversions of all of these things as well. And that's E, but you can do it with any chord, right? So I always try to, if I find myself getting a little bored with the way that the structure of the song or the chord progression, or something, can I figure out a way to change the chords, make it a little bit more interesting for me to play, and also that it's something else going on besides just, you know, you already got the bass that's going to be whatever it's going to do. And so it's going to be playing quarter notes for the most part, if you're in a rhythm like that, right? Or whatever. It's going to be repeating a rhythm, right? And the drums are going to be pounding away. Right? So if you have two guitars, obviously, then one person can be just playing the chords open, and then you can be kind of picking, noodling around and doing some comping and whatever. But if you can do the same thing if you're one guitar. I know the first time I started playing with one guitar, I was a little apprehensive about the sound dropping away, and all of a sudden it's just not there. And eventually you just kind of forget about that, and you just do it. right? And it doesn't, you don't even worry about it. Some of that to cover up, fill in that sound is in the guitar sound, having a nice big fat round tone um, that breaks up just a little bit. The other part is the upright bass, especially for the rockabilly stuff, where you get the click and the slap and all of that. All it almost sounds like there's two instruments going on, and then the drums too. I've heard the quote. I forget uh, who said it or where it came from or wherever, but you're only as good as your drummer. So if the drummer is weak, it's going to be in it, and it's true. It's going to be the first thing that anybody's going to notice. If the drummer is behind, out of time, sloppy, kind of plays a turnaround on the drums and doesn't come right back to the one, and gets out of time with a little fill or something like that. It what we call sounds like a shoe in a dryer. And nobody wants that. It's the most noticeable thing um, immediately from an audience perspective. They may not even know exactly what's going on, but something sounds off. And other than being completely out of key, out of pitch, which even then you can kind of get by if the audience is really in it and your guitar goes out of tune. Sometimes nobody's really going to notice it. Break a string, something like that happens. Um, but if they're dancing and the pulse and the beat is missed, they're going to feel it. It's going to sound like the music got shut off, right? Or the CD skipped or the record skipped or whatever. And it doesn't work. So having a drummer that intuitively knows, okay, the guitar player is playing something other than just a rhythm that's filling in the space, and they go to the ride and they can fill in that space, and it creates a wash around the band is huge. Or open hi-hat or something like that. So yeah, today we're getting ready. I'm gonna go play at this place in Providence called Nickanese, and it's there's a couple of live streams already of the same venue up on the channel that you can check out if you want. So I won't live stream it tonight, but next weekend we're playing next Friday. We're playing another location. I haven't live streamed there yet, so I might do that one. And that one, it's the problem with a lot of these places is trying to get an angle where I can put the phone up there, have a good shot, and I have no idea what it sounds like. It could sound like a complete wash, but hopefully the phone attenuates it enough, and then getting power to the phone. Otherwise, it'll die in like an hour or two or whatever. So the streaming and running video and everything takes up a lot of battery. Anyway, so let's see what's next. I should turn this amplifier on and see if it works. Cross my fingers here. I'll use the other guitar and test it out. But the first thing I want to do is turn on this Space Echo. Make sure that works. Figured I'd do it on stream anyway. Why not? Right? Why not? Okay, tape's going. Takes a little bit for these amps to warm up. So hopefully you'll be able to hear it through this microphone. We'll see. Definitely hear it warming up. Oh, here's something I had mentioned on the stream a while ago. You guys may or may not be aware of these things, but these are pretty cool. This cable, it has a little sleeve. I don't know if you can see it. Right on the bottom there. And that's an on-off switch. So when you take the cable out, you don't get any buzz. Like I can do this and I don't get anything. Okay. So I don't know if you can hear that. Oh yeah, coming through a little bit. Probably sounds distant. Only got that on 2. Tape delay's working. Cool. All right. No issues. Yeah, they always recommend, I don't know, for those of you who might have a tape delay, to let them run for 5 minutes or so before you actually start playing, just so the tape kind of stretches out a little bit. I keep this room pretty controlled temperature-wise, so the guitars and the amps and everything stay in pretty good condition. Cool. It definitely is something playing through. Maybe next time I can try to get that amplifier plugged into a microphone and mic it up to the live stream. Have an extra channel going. It's pretty loud in here, just on 2. So, but yeah, it does sound pretty cool. So I'll be doing that later, and yeah, I want to keep the stream pretty short today. We got give a little bit of an update here. I'm still working on a bunch of videos as much as I possibly can around my day job and all the not too many gigs going on, but it's just the day job has just been crazy right now, and haven't really had too much time to dedicate to the channel as I would like. But I have a gear demo video coming up, 2 of them actually. One's about the Rancher, the Falcon, which I've talked about several times. It's still working on it. And another piece of gear that I was asked to do a demo of. And it's pretty cool. It's kind of a wireless XLR device, so you can get rid of your XLR cables if you really wanted to. And then the next lesson is coming as well. I'm still working on the guitar lessons, the guitar lesson series. I'm going to try to do that in blocks so I can get whatever 10 or 12 videos at once, so they're consistently released, and then there'll be a pause in the action, and then it'll come back and do another series, and so on and so forth. Let's see what else is going on. I can't really play this one because it doesn't come through as clear as the other guitar, but I'll flip it. But anyway, you can see the guitar is on, right? And I unplug it, nothing. I'm not getting any static. Very helpful on a lot of gigs. That way you don't have to worry about flicking your tuner on and off or whatever. I don't even use a pedal tuner anymore when I use the Space Echo here because I don't have a pedal board for the live shows when I use this thing. There's just not enough. Just creates just an extra hassle to worry about, and I've never been a big fan of pedal boards, if I'm being honest. It gets in the way. It's always something down at your feet, trying to navigate what you're trying to play. I mean, if I'm not singing, it's easier, but when you have to sing and get up to the microphone and kind of try to perform, as it were, that thing just really gets in the way. So I end up usually putting it off to the side a little bit, and either right foot or left foot will grab it depending on the setup. And it's also a lot of the venues, unless you're on a stage, a lot of venues around here are fairly small. And that's an extra thing to put out in front that people have to walk by. It's like having a monitor wedge in front. It's an extra thing that people walk by, and I have had so many people fall into the gear, just fall over the monitor or the pedal board or whatever because they're drinking and they're not paying attention. They're having a good time and whatever, and it's just an extra, or spill their drink over the top of the board. It's just it's an extra hassle. I was at the other I forget what gig it was. I think it was the same place I'm playing tonight. Last time I played there a couple months ago, I turned around. I think I was sitting my drink down, and I went and I saw somebody's foot catch on the cable of the microphone, and I saw it going down, and I grabbed it with this hand and to save it from falling. And so you're always constantly watching everything. A lot of these venues, there's just no protection, and the more of a crowd you get, is people get pushed and they'll fall into the drums, they'll fall into whatever. You have to try to sort of be aware of that, and the pedal board definitely gets in the way because they don't see it. I mean, they don't even see the monitor, so they're not even going to see the pedal board. It sounds crazy, but yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I don't really have anything else to add for today as far as the chord stuff goes, because that's really the big, just talking about the inversions of how you can play different chords. And it's also good if you're just getting used to playing the guitar in general to try to play the different inversions of the basic triads. Just don't worry about nines and sevenths and all that. Just right? That's what you need. Or the full chord, right? There's another one here. You want the 4 up there, right? That's an interesting inversion. I'll play it down here so you can see it a little better. But you could, if you play an A, the 3rd in the bottom, jump up to the root, 5th. That's an A. That's all you need. 3 notes. You can add an extra octave. Guess you could add the E down here too. So that's just an A chord. Same as, see if I could even do it here. Where is it? Here. Here it is. Like that. Let's trying to figure out the same inversion. That's putting the root in the bottom. So putting the third in the bottom, I guess you could do it here. But this is skipping the fifth. So it's going third, skip the fifth, go to the root, go up to the fifth. And the reason why you would want to do that is because if you're voice leading, the bass is voice leading down, doing something like that, right? Whatever you want to do, right? But that's essentially what you're doing, is you're creating the bass line. You can see that if you see it in charts, you'll see the chord A/C sharp. Obviously, C sharp is in an A chord, but that slash with the note next to it means that that note is in the bass. So if you're playing an inversion of, it's usually for the bass, but as the guitar player, what you can do is you can play the inversion of that chord where you put that note in the bottom of the inversion. So you see A/C sharp, that means it wants a C sharp in the bass. Play it down here. Right? Yeah, those are little tricks that you can do, and it can clear up it depends on the sound you're going for, I guess. If you want to fill in a lot of space and you double up your octaves, you can play whole bar chords, right? But if you want to soften things a little bit, instead of having to really, but you still want to have some energy to it, instead of having to control, just trying to play lightly or turn your volume down and play the same chord, you can still have the same energy and control the dynamic with your hand and just play fewer notes. Right? Whatever you're doing. It's almost just like playing the bottom strings as opposed to playing all six. I like to control the dynamics with my playing as opposed to turning the volume down and then, or God forbid, getting involved with pedals and boost pedals and all that nonsense. That's just, if you need to quiet down, you absolutely need to go quieter. Just turn the volume of your guitar down. I would do that. And then when you set your volume initially, when you do your sound check, just make sure that your lead is going to be loud enough that it's going to, I can hear the tape running in the background. Make sure your lead is going to be loud enough that it's going to go over the drums, over the cymbals, kind of right at the same level. That's where I like to have it. Maybe even slightly over, because high notes, that's going to cut through, obviously. But playing low notes, they can get lost. Especially if you're playing quiet. So you do that sound check first, and then if you have to get quieter, just turn the volume down on your guitar, as opposed to worrying about all these different pedals, and control the dynamic with your playing. Like I said, change the dynamic just a little bit. Start palm muting and all these other sorts of things. There are all different types of techniques that you can use to control it, and as opposed to just, using the pedal boards or your amplifier or whatever. And you don't want to get into, if you're playing with another guitar player, you don't want to get into a volume war where they're turning up and then you're turning up and then they're turning up, and then before you know it, you're both at 8, and it's ridiculous. And the drummer's struggling to keep up, right? You don't want that situation. So what I like to do is I've played enough shows to know, like, my amplifier at around 5, 6 is really loud. And if I feel like I have to turn up beyond that, then something's wrong. There's some other, something else is too loud. Whether it's the drums or the bass or the whatever. I mean, it could be a situation there. I've had one where you might have a bunch of people on stage. You got a keyboard, you got another guitar player, you got a bass player, you got a drummer, you got a horn player, you got a harmonica player, you got all these different things, and sometimes, and even the bassman won't keep up with that. So that's and that's a loud show. That's a loud show. So in that case, that's when you start miking things and control it that way. But I'm not a big fan of. I hear a lot of rumblings of venues going over to ampless stages and no wedges and in-ear monitors and all that stuff. It's mostly relegated to casinos and, venues like that. And I don't really play those sorts of venues anyway. And I don't think the big stages like MGM Grand at Foxwoods is going to do anything like that anytime soon. So we'll see. But I usually play small venues around my local area, at least right now. I have played a few casinos here and there, but right now we just haven't been doing too much, haven't pushed too much as far as live shows out of the local area. I'm focused in on just been, busy with life and stuff, but also trying to focus in on this new album, which we've got round in the bend here. We've got most of the songs written, getting ready to record. So very soon, hopefully. I just got to get some time to finish up two or three more songs and then rehearse them, get in the studio, get it recorded, and I'll be releasing probably the whole thing all at once, just like a regular album release. But I'll probably do it on just YouTube and maybe Bandcamp and something like that. But I probably won't do it on Spotify right away. Other than that, I guess that's pretty good for today. I'm going to get going here and start getting my gear loaded up. I got to do some inventory, make sure we got all our cables and everything we need for tonight. Until then, until next week, we're going to be back for the live stream. And hopefully I'll have a new video up this week, maybe 2. We'll see if I can get both of them done here, because they're kind of both getting done at the same time. So I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the Rancher and the other gear, the other wireless XLR video. So until next time, thank you guys again for watching, and we'll see you next week. Take care.